Hello everybody, welcome to the United from Manchester United to Paok nil, and yeah, we got the job done. It was a must-win game. Obviously, before the game, seeing where we were in the table, unbeaten, but obviously we didn't win and we didn't lose. It was just three draws, and you almost think to it the next games. Obviously before the game we had to win against Paok. I think we got Bodo Glimt next, and that'll be Amram's first game in the Europa League. And I think we got Rangers, so we need to win these next games, and obviously, hopefully, qualify. Well, I won in the top 8, but if it's in the top 24, I don't mind. But you know, the downside of that is that you just play an extra game. So yeah. My thoughts on the game, I felt Ahmad was, you know, with his 2 goals. I mean, people go back to that game he scored against AC Milan with a backwards header, and it's almost the same thing because I thought he was using his head to cut it back to Højlund, but then somehow from an angle he just scores from there, and you almost think I mean, what a goal that was. And obviously the second one. I think that was a goal that he worked hard for, and what we want from our players, winning the ball back, obviously, driving against players, and obviously it was the type of goal that you love to see from cutting inside players. So it was a great finish, and yeah, it was a masterclass for him. I think when you see this from Ahmad, especially in the second goal, you almost kind of feel like to yourself, well, if Amarim was, picking the team, who would he play? Would he play Garnacho, Rashford? Where would Bruno play? And normally he has wingers, but then obviously when they're in the attack, they're narrow, and obviously the wing backs are obviously the wingers. They play like wingers. So I think I think personally, in my opinion, Amram should do, when he picks those almost 2 10s, I think he should play Bruno on one side and Ahmad on the other, because technically Bruno and Ahmad, you know, comparison themselves, because, they press high, they're energetic, they try to win the ball back, again, I say they press as well. And obviously they're creative players as well, and obviously they got goals in them as well. So obviously, and that's what you want from your 2 number 10s, and that's how Amrin plays. Like we always talk about, GYKORES scoring so many goals, but why is that? It's because the team is around and finding GYKORES, in which finding the number 9 and feeding him goals. So that's how he's trying to make, like people always say, oh wow, look at GYKORES scores a hat-trick against Man City, we should sign him. But what I don't really understand is, I want to see him play. Don't get me wrong. I do. I actually rate the player. Obviously his celebration as well, all that. But if he played for Man United, you really think he's going to score so many goals? No, he won't. Because the amount of service we give to our attacking players, sorry, not attacking players, to Højlund or Xerxes, what's GYKORES gonna get? You're not gonna get, you're not gonna get a number 9 without feeding him service. Yes, you can always, lob the ball to his head, tries wins it, and wrestles with the defenders. But that's not what GYKORES is there to do. You find goals to find goals. You find the attacking players, and obviously obviously mainly the number 9 as well. So obviously seeing obviously Højlund without no service once again, and obviously wasn't feeling much into the game, you can't really blame him because first of all he's hardly getting shots, hardly getting touches. I think what was it? There was a stat as well against Chelsea, and I think that touch that led to the penalty, that was his only touch in the penalty box. I mean, that's absolutely like insane. Like we don't get the ball quick enough to him. We don't find him. You know, I don't understand. Like, it's almost like he's starving for services. So when people say, "Wow, we need to get GYKORES," that's how we're gonna score goals. If GYKORES was already in that team, and this is how we were playing, we weren't, feeding service to the number nines. You really think he'd be scoring all these goals? No, he won't. The only reason he's scoring these goals, people might say, yes, Farmers League and all that. But you have to also look at the service his team is giving to him. The team always find him, against City, for example, the wing backs as well. I think that right wing back, he found him and then obviously he made the run, what else? Obviously I know two of them were penalties. But you see so many of his players, or even, I think Gonçalves and Trincao, obviously those two number 10s, obviously they're wingers, but they have their creative side of playing number 10 as well. That's what you can get from Bruno and Ahmad. And obviously, like, the thing is, if you put Højlund in that Sporting team, he'd score goals as well. Yes, I know people might say, oh, but Harris, he's young, he's this, he's that. Look what happened last season. He scored goals by himself. He didn't, he wasn't getting any help or whatever. It was just scrappy goals, as in, they weren't great, they weren't, fluky goals. It's just, he had to work hard for these goals, Imagine Højlund got service. I can see 15 goals from him. Whenever I see Jackson, obviously going back to last season, and obviously Darwin Núñez, look how Liverpool and Chelsea always find them. Yes, they miss chances, but if you think to yourself, well, if Højlund begged for these chances, he'd probably finish them. And that's what, when people say, oh, GYKORES will fix this, he's going to be the same as Højlund. You're not going to give him the ball that much. And obviously, with Amorim, I hope, he can tell this fucking United team to always find the number 9. Because that's how his whole play is, finding the number 9 and giving service and giving the goals. That's why GYKORES is scoring so many goals. People might say, oh, but it's the pharmacy. But he just scored a hat-trick against Man City. So obviously. But yeah, obviously, back to the game. Manchester United, obviously, it wasn't the first half that you enjoyed. Obviously, the same as Chelsea. Obviously, second half, again, there were moments. And obviously, Ahmad stepped up. And obviously, he brought in his quality. So yeah, obviously, and obviously that performance he gave, and obviously him being energetic, winning the ball back, you kind of think to yourself, Amorim would like to see that and probably would play him in the team, So obviously, but yeah, Ahmad was great, and hopefully from this game he starts against Leicester. I don't want to see, again, Garnacho didn't play well, Rashford, how long did he come for, not making an impact, But yeah, obviously, it's the question is, it's all about who should be dropped, Garnacho or Diallo or Rashford or Ahmad. It should be Garnacho or Rashford. You pick one. Ahmad should that right wing spot is secure for Ahmad. I don't even care. It should be about who should play on the left wing. And Rooney needs to see that. It isn't like, oh, Højlund, Xerxes are out, or, Xerxes starting. Obviously, he comes up, and then Rue plays Rashford up front. It's not like that. So if anything, people gonna see Rashford, Garnacho, and Ahmad, you're gonna wait for You're gonna have to see Højlund and Xerxes injure themselves. But no, obviously, it was a better second half. I think Paok had that great chance. I'm thinking to myself, well, Onana did well, but you're thinking to yourself, he took a touch with so much time, and he still missed. But obviously, again, what I like from United is that they didn't, sat deep, yeah, and just holding on to that 1-0 lead. They were looking for the second goal. And I'm glad that obviously not only did we score once, but obviously twice, and obviously that kind of sealed the game. So obviously, it was great. My player ratings, Onana, obviously clean sheet, I probably 6.5. I don't think he had to do that much apart from a couple of saves. Obviously, that save I just talked about. Dalot, I'm gonna give him. He was playing left back, but I gave him a 6. But I don't think he was that bad. But yeah, I was thinking to myself, why was he playing left back and Mazraoui went right back? Again, Mazraoui, again, a 6.5, This guy, again, Mr. Consistent himself. I mean, honestly, amazing. Johnny Evans and Lindelof, 6.5 as well for those both, They played well. I don't, like, obviously you see Lindelof with Maguire, Evans with Maguire, but I never seen these two together that much, and obviously, they did well as a partnership. So yeah, Ugarte and Casemiro, I'm probably gonna give both of them 6s. Obviously Casemiro, he wasn't the same, obviously previous from Chelsea, but obviously it's Casemiro. We're still waiting to see. There was a time where he was fouled, and I'm thinking to myself, well, isn't that a penalty? And also the Ahmad one as well. I'm thinking to myself, well, you take him out. Like, I don't understand. But then again, it is VAR for you. Well, Garnacho, I gave him a 5 for Chelsea. I'm gonna give him a 5.5. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't understand, because this has been happening, and you want to include missed chances from him. It's been going on since Palace. He's missed chances there, West Ham, obviously that stinker against Chelsea. But yeah, obviously 5.5. Look, obviously Garnacho, look, it's normal for players to have bad seasons, because it's inevitable. You're human at the end of the day. You are gonna have bad seasons. Like, again, look at where Phil Foden is. Obviously, I know he scored against Sporting, but in the league itself, he's not the same player he is. He's not showing everyone why he was player of the season last season. So but it's crazy, because people can go. It's easy to attack on players that are not performing well, and hopefully this is just only a blip from Garnacho, because he is a talented young boy. And again, I say it again, with obviously him and Kobe Mainoo coming through the ranks, from during Ten Hag's era, like, Carrington is as blessed as a mosque and a church. Like, that's how great Carrington is. But yeah, Garnacho, obviously a 5.5 for me. My question is, should he start against Leicester? I mean, who knows? Højlund, again, I'm going to give 5.5 as well. I mean, he was hardly in the game. I mean, honestly, this guy, I told you again, people saying, let's sign GYKORES, like that's going to solve the problem. If he gives service to Højlund, that will build him his confidence. And obviously, when he takes those chances, he will take them. But obviously, people say, oh, Højlund's dead and all that. Because you always keep lobbing the ball to him. He has to wrestle with the defenders. And obviously, holds the ball up and then, passes to someone. And then obviously, we've seen it so many times. He holds the ball, finds Bruno. Bruno finds a Hollywood pass. And then, yeah. Oh, yeah, I did forget Bruno. Bruno, I gave him a 6. Got the assist for the first goal. But yeah, Bruno. Obviously in these last 18 months, that's how Bruno is being. But it wasn't bad for him. It wasn't a bad game as well. But then again, you want more, obviously, the goals as well included. So yeah, well, no shout. Ahmad being my man of the match, I think he's a 7.5 or maybe an 8. Yeah, 7.5 for me. honestly, I think honestly, he showed Rude on that pitch why he should start against Leicester, or even throughout the whole season. You know, I don't want to hear this BS about who should be dropped for the right wing spot. You know, I don't want to see that. It should be about the left wing spot. Ahmad's already got his right wing spot. It should be there. Obviously, who's competing really for that spot, Anthony, but obviously Ahmad cleared the winner. Rude, obviously, he should think about the next game. Who's going to play at left wing? But even for Amra as well, who should he start? Rashford or Garnacho? You know, and what Ahmad did, you know, that's kind of what you want to see in an Amra's system as well. And probably what he just showed in the second goal. You know, high press, energetic, winning the ball back. You know, you probably think he might, you know, be straight in his system. So yeah, but yeah, honestly, you know, and Rude, probably give him a 6.5. I don't, you know, the substitutions, you know, it wasn't that, you know, impactful. Obviously, Mason Mount came back after injury, but, you know, yeah, yeah, that's my preview for United against Paok. I also want to talk about, there was this clip on Instagram. If you guys want to know where to find that clip, go United Fame on Instagram. But there was this clip of, obviously, everyone might know him as Faz, obviously former United stand employee. And then obviously he's recording, obviously doing his thing. And he sees Garnacho, obviously Garnacho signing shirts and all. And then you see him saying, you know, learn how to pass, learn how to shoot. I don't understand where this kind of, you know, if people saying, oh, what he's doing is right, you know, you're just bringing him down. You know, he's had one shit game, in which is the Chelsea game. Obviously, people might go back to previous games, like obviously the West Ham and the, like, I don't understand why it's necessary to say. Obviously, I can't remember the whole clip. You guys need to watch it, but there's obviously mixed opinions. Obviously, people saying he's right, people saying he's wrong. My opinion on this is that why are you saying that, first of all? I mean, you're saying learn how to pass, learn how to shoot. Obviously, Garnacho goes back. And obviously, if I was in his shoes, I'd answer back, especially to a prat like him. Because don't forget, people, this is the same guy while Ten Hag was manager and wanted this guy out. He said not to blame. You can never blame the players. I mean, obviously Ten Hag's not here against Chelsea. What were you gonna say now? No, blame Ten Hag. You know, he's not there. You know, again, this guy, he's the same idiot that wanted McTominay to stay. Look, I rate McTominay, but in terms of where he should play, look, if McTominay wanted to stay at United, he had to play in the number 10 position as an attacking midfielder or a second striker. Obviously, who was in that role already? Bruno. And that's why McTominay kept playing in the 8. It's almost like we were shaped into a 4-1-4-1. That's why obviously we needed money as well. So that's why we sold it. But this guy's opinions, and obviously this is the same guy who went out of, I think he was going all out on people who wanted Ten Hag again. I mean, it's amazing because when you leave the United stand, you know, and you do your own thing, your own content creating, you act so tough and bad, thinking, you know what, where was this kind of attitude and, you know, thing you had in you before? You know, you weren't showing that. Man's shushing, like in the Liverpool game, he's shushing all the Ten Hag inners. You know, again, I don't need to say much because obviously if I talk about it, my head's going to burst, you know. I mean, honestly, so, you know, again, what can we say? He's a prat. But this guy is going to Garnacho saying he needs to learn how to shoot and all that. I mean, why are you giving him tips when you don't know how to fucking run anyway? You know, you look like some Bengali hobbit anyway, and you're telling Garnacho how to play football. Like, I don't understand. The guy's 20. Yes, he's bound to have bad games. But you saying this is just going to demoralize the player. And this is why, you know, again, I saw a comment as well. You know, we got one of the worst fan bases. Obviously, it's majority of them because, again, there's a name for it, toxic fans. But then there are some fans, on the other hand, with obviously common sense or whatever, know what they're on about, and they don't attack the players because you never attack on the youth, you know. Look, show me a clip on someone going on Rashford saying, pass the ball, you're robbing us 300k and all that. Like, someone send me a clip of that, It's amazing because Garnacho has one bad game, and it's almost like, wow, it's like the end of the world. He's just being dropped and all whatever. He's improving as a player. But obviously, again, like I said, if you're gonna say criticism, I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize, but if you're gonna say learn how to pass and shoot, then obviously you're gonna demoralize the player. And obviously he says back to him, why don't you play? It's almost like, if I'm that dead, why don't you come and play? You're acting like you're good as well. It's amazing, but this is in our fan base anyway. There are a lot of prats anyway. Again, people might say it's opinions. I'd only say it's an opinion if you actually believed in what you're saying. People can go online in the fan base and chat shit. Like, I don't understand. If you're saying something, believe what you're saying. Don't say all this shit, and then process it to your brain and then put it out in the world and saying, oh, I believe in this, I believe in that. There's been so many people that wanted Ten Hag out, but my theory was, who would, like, if you wanted Ten Hag out, who would you want in? And this was before Amrin being linked, Rude obviously taking the job or whatever. And this been forget this season, they be saying it last season. But honestly, this is our fan base as well. But yeah, that's how much I really want to say. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Take care. Please like, share, subscribe, and see you on the next one.